So I somehow like stumbled upon Tan France's Instagram a few months ago, and I saw that he had put a post with him and Gigi Hadid that like there would be a new season coming up of the show Next in Fashion, which him and Gigi would be like hosting, and that there would be a new like open casting call. So you could like apply to be on the show. And Next in Fashion is kind of like it's basically like Project Runway. It's that show. Like it's like a second Project Runway where fashion designers go on the show and then they compete for I guess for money, but they go through designs and they design and then they make them and then they present them on a runway and then they get judged and then somebody wins at the end of the season, right? And I've always been interested in like applying to one of those shows because it would be an interesting experience for sure and it would probably be really good exposure too. But as a knitwear designer, I've always been super hesitant because you never see a knitwear designer on the show. I don't know what it would look like to be a knitwear designer and be on the show or if it would even be like allowed because all the designers that go on the show they are always woven designers tailor who do cut and sew and tailoring. So as a knitwear designer it would be very different. I think like what I would design would be all knitwear for all of the challenges, plus also what I would need to be able to execute those looks is different from what woven designers need. I would need yarn instead of fabric. So I know they always like take a trip to a fabric store, and that's something that I wouldn't need to do. I would need to, I don't know, go to a yarn store or order yarn or do something like that to have my like starting material. Because in knitwear we start with yarn and then we knit the garment. So you're making the garment, you're making the fabric at the same time. So that's kind of one big difference in executing knitwear compared to wovens or tailoring. So I was thinking, well, okay, I would need like a yarn shop, not a fabric shop, and I would need knitting machines, not necessarily sewing machines, or maybe in addition to sewing machines. Because sometimes if you're going to do really complicated knit stuff, you might be sewing some things in like the finishing stages of it. You'd be needing to sew some things, but it wouldn't be the primary machine that I would need. I would need a knitting machine of some type would be ideal because I also wouldn't want to hand knit all of my garments. I guess it's possible if you do something very chunky, every competition or every challenge, you'd be doing something very, very chunky and you could maybe get away with hand knitting, but um, I would want to use like machines to like design my styles. I don't know if that would be cheating because I'd be using machines to like knit out pieces, but then most likely the pieces would need some finishing and all the finishing would be done by hand by me. So it could be comparable to how woven designers work and how they would be cutting fabric and then sewing the pieces together. It could be comparable as far as work. And in some ways, I think knitwear is a lot more challenging. So I don't know. Anyway, it's something I've always wanted to do, and I've always thought about like, oh, it'd be fun to like compete in one of these things. And I've always like looked at the applications, and then I still haven't applied, but it would be interesting as a knitwear designer to try to apply and or even like maybe they would do another show like do a whole nother series that's just knitwear designers. That would be really cool because then they could have all the resources that all the designers needed. They would have like the yarn, they would have the machine, they would have I guess also like programmers if the knitwear designers didn't know the technical side of how to execute the garments on the machines. So like if they just had a whole show that was designated to knitwear designers and then knitwear designers could compete against other knitwear designers, it would be a much more even playing field than trying to go against wovens. But also I think it'd be really interesting to have throw in some knitwear designers with the wovens designers because it would just make it more interesting. You would see like these different work processes. Everybody on the show right now kind of does the same thing. It's cutting, it's sewing. I shouldn't say that because honestly, I don't even watch the shows that much. So I should really watch them more and see what even goes on these shows. But you know, when you work in fashion all day, the last thing you want to do is come home and watch it at night on TV. So I've never watched the shows. I've never gotten into them because I do it all day and I don't want to watch other people doing it at night. But yeah, so what do you think about having other types of designers on shows like Project Runway and Next in Fashion? I think it'd be pretty interesting. Thanks for watching. Give this video a thumbs up and please subscribe and hit the little bell icon to be notified when new videos come out. And let me know below like how you feel about Project Runway and Next in Fashion. Do you like watching the shows? Would you like to see other types of designers like I would like to see that have a different process of creating what they create? Yeah, let me know below what you think and if I'm the only one that would like to see knitwear designers or maybe other types of designers that execute in a different way on the show. See you in the next one.